everybody, from my 2018 BMW 540D xDrive US model. So I am doing something I don't do often enough anymore, and I am taking a road trip. I originally was going to actually take my GLK, but I decided, so I'm doing a couple thousand miles in a couple days. I'm doing 1,000 miles in a couple days or so. And given the clunk and the axle bearing thing, I want to kind of probably keep that a little more local. I've actually been leaning toward just going ahead and getting that fixed, because I started thinking more about that, and the movement of that intermediate shaft, which plugs into the front differential. I was thinking that might actually put some extra stress on the front differential that I don't want to deal with. So unless I can come up with a good solution for wedging that thing in place, I may just go ahead and bite the bullet and get that fixed. I think it'll be an expensive repair, which of course would give some more content, and I can keep everybody updated on that. I go back and forth on what I want to do. I'm not quite done experimenting on that, but yeah. Anyway, back to the current car I'm driving. So I've been on the highway about 3 hours, and I've been varying my speed between, I don't know if you can see that on the windshield, 73 and 73 and 78, depending on the speed limit. The speed limit here is apparently 65. I don't know if it goes back up to 70 or not. I typically go about 8 over, give or take. That seems to be pretty safe. Still have another 246 miles to go. Probably make a couple stops along the way, but I reset the fuel economy early in the trip, and I'm getting, well, it hovers around high 42s, low 43s, depending on the hills. Now that I'm actually, that I've got the cruise set at 72 or 73 instead of 78, it's actually probably going to do a little better, probably increase. Of course, I'm going up a hill now, so it's decreasing. As far as total miles on the car, 36,199. I think I started this trip right at 36,000. So this car is still very new, and for those of you who have watched my videos on this car before, you know it's had a bit of a colorful history. But for the past year, it's been pretty good, except for the exhaust leak under the hood. Other than that, I haven't really had any issues with it. So I thought this would probably be the best choice for a road trip, and also the stellar range. I mean, if you look at the fuel gauge, I'm down there around a quarter of a tank, and it's still showing 155 miles range. I'm probably going to go ahead and top up before that. But anyway, yeah, so just thought I'd share a little clip. I may make a few other videos and just patch them onto this one about my trip, fuel mileage, experience, and so forth. I put Rain-X on the window because there's going to be a lot of rain. For those of you who can make that out, you can see I think I'm in New York, or I may be close to New York. I just saw mile marker 5, so that either means I'm 5 miles into New York or 5 miles from New York. It's been ages since I've been to upstate New York, but I have a reason to make this trip. Yeah, generally speaking, all the trips I make these days are same day, and even then not very often. ever since the whole COVID thing. I've not really gone out much, other than just locally and whatever. I used to travel for work and put 60,000 miles a year on my cars. For those of you who have seen some of my old videos, a couple stand out, like my 2014 cruise. I made a video in 2015, I think it was, in early 2015, where I had 100,000 miles on it and did a cold start video. But anyway, okay, that's it for now. Hello again, another check-in. So I guess this area that I'm at here is somewhat mountainous. I don't know if you can see that from my camera. Someone's getting ready to pass me, so I've got to kind of keep it in one spot there. But yeah, I'm in upstate New York right now, running along Highway 86. Have 186 miles to my destination. Fuel economy update. So made 2 stops, and it's only dropped it down to 42.1. But I think, given that the speed limit here is 65 and I've got the cruise set at 73, that's probably going to pop back up. Now, I don't know if the rain is going to necessarily affect that, because I guess theoretically there's more friction when it's raining, so it would make for worse fuel economy. And plus, I don't know if it's going through any regens, which would definitely cause it to use more fuel, at least for a few miles. Of my diesel engines, I don't think I ever found a good way to monitor the regens on this car. I used my scan gauge 2 with my Cruise and my Equinox. It seems to work pretty well with Chevy products, but I don't know what happened if I tried to use it in this car or not. I may have used one thing I did try is Carly, and it sucks. All these YouTubers that advertise Carly, I don't know how they can recommend it in good conscience, because it is awful. It didn't really connect to any of my cars, and the ones it did connect to only offered limited functions. And then when it prints out, or when it shows the error messages or the codes, they're just incomprehensible, really. Yeah, so I would definitely not recommend Carly. I use an X Pros. I guess it's a Chinese company, Launch China. I've been using that for years, and it's pretty remarkable. I have some of that shown on some of my other videos. Oh, that's interesting. There's a casino out in the middle of nowhere. It even came with a bunch of adapters, so I was able to hook it up to my older Mercedes it's called a Benz 38 connector. So that car is a 2000. It's my CLK 320. It has an ODB port, ODB2 port, but it doesn't work. So I used the adapter to plug it in under the hood, and it worked. So I've had nothing but good luck with that. Probably maybe 1 out of every 20 cars might have an issue, because I've hooked it up on friends' cars and all my other cars. It is definitely great on newer cars, but I think some of the older cars may have extra adapters, like was required to hook up to my 2000. Anyway, you may notice I don't have my windshield wipers on. I put some Rain-X on before I left the house, and it does a pretty good job. I've always used Rain-X ever since I learned about it years ago. And the only time it's kind of iffy is in light rain. It doesn't seem to beat up as much. Now this is a very aerodynamic car, so it's not fantastic, but it does good enough. I mean, I can see, I don't know what this looks like on the camera, but I can see perfectly clearly. Yeah, so I hate windshield wipers. I mean, obviously I'll use them if I have to, but definitely prefer Rain-X. Oh yeah, finish my thought. The only time it's not that great is when you're driving on a 2-lane country road at night. The glare from the oncoming headlights can be a little bit of a distraction. But other than that, good stuff. All right, just kind of an intermediate update. Looks like my MPGs have popped back up a little bit. The movements are going to be a lot slower now that I've got at least a couple hundred miles for that total right there. All right, more updates coming. Quick mid-flight update, just refueled.
In
Range
400 feet,
700.
turn sharp to the left onto Loon Lake Road.
Range 716 miles. That's the highest I've ever seen it. So another quick update. I've driven, I don't know, a good 30 miles since the last fill up, and the range keeps increasing. So we are now at 731. And it seems to still be going up. So when I filled it up, I did, what is this idiot truck doing? He's like coming over into this lane. When I filled it up, one thing you can do with a diesel that you cannot do with a gasoline car is fill it all the way up, like all the way to the top of the filler neck. And I've been able to put extra fuel in every diesel, and it varies from, I used to be able to put 0.2 extra gallons in my Equinox. I can usually squeeze 1 gallon into this car after the fuel's shut off. And guy in the Honda's an idiot. He keeps passing me and then slowing down. Anyway, then in my cruise diesel, I could always fit like 2.5 gallons extra in that car after the fuel shut off. So, you know, if you think about that, like that cut down the number of refuelings I had to do, like I can't remember how many gallons that tank was, but you know, every so many fill ups, just the extra 2.5 gallons would add up to save me from having to stop, like what, every 7 fill ups or something like that. So this last fill up, I squeezed 18.6 gallons in. The road I'm on, Highway 86 in upstate New York, it's very sparse. Oh look, there's a little airport over there. Well, anyway, it's very sparse, and I like to run it all the way down until I have like 0 miles to empty before I fill up. But it's the thing on my car was being a little vague, because once you zoom out past like 1 mile, it doesn't show you fuel stops anymore, and I couldn't remember how to get to the menu that shows you where they are. So with like 36 miles to empty, I stopped to fill it up, which is sooner than I normally like. It turns out about 20 miles up the road, maybe not even, maybe 10 miles up the road, there was a, I better pay attention to what I'm doing here. I'll listen to what it's telling me for a sec.
In a half a mile, bear left and continue following
got it.
east toward Corn.
I'm going to to definitely take this split. I can get back in this lane. See that Honda guy is slowing down again, just like I predicted. So yeah, I don't even remember what I was saying. I got distracted there. But so I think at that I will leave this segment and be back again. Okay, back again for another segment. I don't know if it's going to pop up to 750, but it's been kind of gradually climbing ever since I refueled. Hey, it did hit 750, so that's sort of a milestone there. You may have just heard the phone vibrate. I got a little bit over on the right line there, and whenever I do that, let's try it again. The steering wheel vibrates. I don't think this car has the active lane keep assist. You can see that little green thing there. Maybe if I do it again, does that change? No, it doesn't light up any different. It just basically tells you that it's on. But for some reason, it still keeps climbing. We're up to 751 miles range. I was just joking with somebody, telling them my car generates its own fuel and puts it in the tank as I'm driving. But yeah, I think what happens is it can't register the extra fuel that I put in, and as a result, it perceives the level as constantly full, so it keeps readjusting the range. Doubt it's going to go too much higher than where it's at now, but yeah, I just thought that was cool. I was going for 750, so that was the goal. Road's pretty flat here. It may even go up higher than that, so we'll just call it a day at 752, and that bodes well for me being able to make it all the way where I'm going and then back home again with the inserted driving around. So I've probably got another 600 miles, round numbers, to go. I think I'll get home without having to refuel pretty comfortably, because some of that will be city and stop and go. Alright, that's the latest of it. Okay, so I've got one more update as I round into the final stretch. 43.5 miles per gallon overall average. So that's over 400 miles, including 3 stops. And it's funny, my range still has not dropped. And it's been, let's see, 36,435. It's been almost 100 miles. I mean, worst case 80. But yeah, I mean, I think I'm pushing maybe 90 miles since the last fuel stop. And at the time I filled it up, I believe it said 717. And now it says 758, and the needle hasn't budged in 90 miles. So squeezing that extra fuel in makes a really big difference in highway range, and I'm still just super impressed with this car. I mean, even as long as I've had it, it's still like just an engineering marvel that something with this much power and all-wheel drive and this luxurious can average that kind of fuel economy. I mean, if I didn't make any stops, I'd probably be pushing 45 miles to the gallon. The stops really cut in a lot to the fuel economy. Overall, after having driven all day, I can say that this is an all-day comfort car. No driver fatigue whatsoever. The seat is extremely comfortable and supportive, and it's shaped correctly. so many luxury cars have just awful seats. This one has the standard seats. They've got a little bit of a nice soft cushiony feel. It's not like, doesn't feel like foam. It feels a little more sophisticated than that. I'm not exactly sure how they're made, but they did a good job on it. Way better than the quote-unquote comfort seats that were in my 2008 5 Series. Those were awful. Not only was it like sitting on boards, but they were just shaped all wrong, and there pretty much was no way to get comfortable in those. I don't know if modern day BMW quote-unquote comfort seats are any better or not. I've typically avoided BMWs with those, but the standard seats always seem to be fine. Sometimes the sports seats can be a little iffy. There goes a kind of an interesting car. I've never been too much of a Porsche person, but or however the heck you say that. I drove one a couple times, a newer one and an older one, 911, and yeah, they're pretty cool, but it just never really completely connected with me. Let's do one more check on the fuel economy at the end of this downhill. Oh my goodness, it's up to 43.8, and that is my overall average. No wonder the distance to empty keeps increasing. I must be clipping along at 50 miles per gallon. So the first part of this trip, I don't remember if I captured it on video or not, but I was getting like 50 miles per gallon for a while there. And it does help a lot. This whole stretch of highway that I'm on now is a speed limit 65. So that basically, I keep it at 73, and I think that's kind of like a sweet spot because it gets all the way up to 8th gear. You can see the RPMs are just putting along like 1400 RPMs at 73 miles an hour, and it has plenty of torque at that speed. I mean, even if I like accelerate gently to pass somebody, it doesn't even need a downshift. You know, again, just phenomenal engine, phenomenal car. Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing how this thing holds up over time, and I'll definitely be keeping up on the documentation. But yeah, for this trip, it was about 435 miles. It's just the first leg of my trip. Absolutely flawless with amazing fuel economy. All right, that's it for today. More later. Greetings, everybody. I'm on my final descent home. Well, I guess I still do have a bit to go. 246 miles to go. I guess I'm probably about 750 miles or so in to this trip. Just wanted to share a fuel economy update. So I have not reset it since I started out. Well, actually, after a couple miles, once I got on the highway, I reset it, but I have not since reset it. So a couple days of just running around locally, city driving, just driving long enough to get the car warmed up, and then that's about it. And some idling and whatever. So let me flip to the right screen. So still overall average 42 miles per gallon. The range definitely dropped once I was doing the city driving, but it's kind of leveled back out now. So we see we're at about 3/4 of a tank and a 507 mile range. And I'm up in a mountainous area right now. Been going up and down some mountain passes. I'm not sure if the net effect is positive or negative. I'm gonna guess because you use more fuel going up the hill, and you don't really get it back when you're going down the hill. They were never quite steep enough for me to just totally coast. So I don't think I was getting the hundreds of miles per gallon like you can when you're coasting downhill in a diesel to offset the probably 20 miles per gallon going up the hill. But anyway, just thought I would share that fuel economy overall update. It's probably going to be pretty close to that by the time I get home, but this will be the last video here. Car's been uneventful. I am thinking it's going to need a battery soon, a main battery, because I still have that on and off key fob comfort access not working and push to start not working. But whenever I drive the car and get the battery charged back up, it works fine. So I'm thinking we're starting to have a dying battery. It's on the original battery. This is a 2018. I think its in-service date was like April of 18, something like that. So we're a little over 5 years on the original battery, but I just keep a jumper box in the back for now, unless it really gets bad and I get a lot more errors. I'll also be pulling codes at some point to see if anything has popped up since the last time I read codes on this car. But anyway, that's that.